We are well past now 100 episodes. We've been doing this for 5 months, where we are putting across time regularly to get you the voices, the people behind wealth creation in this country. We have so much to worry about and hope for about where this economy goes, but there's one thing we can be absolutely certain upon. We are all in the same boat called India. We all need to do well and rise out of this. However soon that can be done, the better it is. Let's open up this telecast, which we do in partnership with Business World. On the broadcast with us on this show, we have Mudit Jaju. He is the founder of Cherish X. Dharmendra Ahuja is with us, founder and CEO of Pitchworks. Zahara Kanchwala, co-founder and COO of Right Knowledge Labs. And Sunesh Jain, he is the EIR of Wheels Eye. And as always, Anurag Batra, editor-in-chief of Business World, joining us. Anurag ji, set up the conversation for us.
Thank you so much, Rishabh. Let me start with Mudit. Mudit, you're in the experiential economy. You enable experiences for people around special moments, so to say.
Yeah.
Now, the experiential economy of any kind, whether that's hotels, whether that's cinema halls, whether it's QSR, everything is suffered. It has slowly come back in the last 30 to 45 days, but it has a long way to go. Tell us, vis-a-vis April, May, June, July, where are we in October? How has August, September been? And what does it mean for the economy in terms of the numbers you see coming back?
Okay, got it. Just before that, I'll give you a quick introduction of what Cherish X is. So basically, we are a celebrations and experiences platform. So whenever you want to go celebrate your anniversary or a birthday, you want to celebrate through an experience like a candlelight dinner or step out for an activity or have a decoration done at your place or a guitarist coming at your home on at midnight. So these are the kind of experiences that we offer for people to celebrate their important moments. Obviously, the impact of the pandemic was very severe on the whole hospitality business and we being part of it as well, to the point that the revenue fell to zero the next day. And basically people, whenever there's a global health crisis, the experiences market is the first which is thrown out of the window. People don't have time or don't want to take the risk of doing these things. But over the last couple of months, we've seen that it's started to improve. That is for sure. Actually, one thing which has happened that because of the lockdown, a couple of weeks it was okay, but like all of us are social beings, we need to socialize, we need to talk to people. So after a couple of weeks, people started to be sad, to be gloomy. They were feeling lonely and left out. So now as the economy is opening up, people want to step outside as well. They want to celebrate as well. So for the people who are not stepping out, they want to still celebrate with things that they could do at their home. And so we as a company did a lot of pivots in the experiences that we provide and the products that we provide. So we have the whole digital experiences and virtual experiences, surprises that we set up. So if you can't step out, we can like have a dedicated personal radio show or a celebrity wishing you, or if you have your kid's birthday party on a Zoom call with a magician and storytellers and everything. So this really helped people open up and start celebrate again. And also one thing that we did and very interesting was the things that we used to do earlier pre-COVID, we just packed them into a do-it-yourself kit and we send it, couriered it to people. So if you don't want a decorator to come at your place, we can send the decoration material to your place. So we can send stuff for a candlelight dinner.
You're breaking digital, experiential and do-it-yourself together. What I want to know from you is from the numbers that you've seen in August and September and the 16 days of October, how much percentage of spends are back? Suppose you were spending 100 rupees on a birthday experience in February. What are customer spending in terms of percentage and overall pie where we have achieved?
Actually, I cannot compare it with February because we have a seasonal business, but I can compare it with last year, October. I would say that this October, we would be almost 100% or more than that than previous October. So actually people have really picked up on these different categories that we have provided to them. And people really want to celebrate. They have been locked up at their home for a very, very long time. They just need a breakout.
Thank you, Mudit. You know, in some way you are giving people the outlet they need, the experience they need, and to create special moments. So for enabling that, we must compliment you. Let me go to Dharmendra. Dharmendra, you run a design studio. Now, businesses need design services. Everyone is going digital and experiential. Tell us what has happened to your business in the last 7 months, and where do you see it going over the next 6 to 9 months?
Okay. Well, at the expense of sounding too self-centric, I know a lot of people have been in a lot of trouble during the last 6 months. However, the last few months have catapulted our business to the next level of growth. In fact, we have to be honest, we have doubled our revenues compared to the same period last year, and we've increased our team size, in fact, and we've been hiring for the last few months. What has happened, a lot of our clients, suddenly realize that, if they have to survive, they have to now move to, transform digitally, even if they have to sustain their business model. So we, being a design agency, we create all digital communication material, stuff like presentations, stuff like animated videos, we do websites. So most organizations today, have been approaching us with an intent to transform their operations digitally. So the need for digital communication has suddenly gone up multifold. So it's been a good
virtual walkthroughs in real estate, e-demos in B2B businesses, all have become an integral part of the business and sales process. So clearly there is a big role for a service that you provide.
Absolutely, you said it right. So I think we're not slowing down at all. In fact, we are growing, like I said, and we will continue to grow with the kind of push and impetus that customers are driving us to. So I think that's a blessing for us.
Thank you, Dharmendra. And Dharmendra, in terms of the numbers in the business, tell us how August, September, and half of October have been. Do you see the spurt in business as a temporary phenomena, or do you see it lasting, as I asked you, over the next 6 to 9 months?
Definitely lasting. There was a spurt. There was a sudden silence initially when this pandemic broke out. People didn't know what to do. So that 1 month was slightly downwards. But overall, like I said, we've doubled revenues. Team size has gone up. We are delivering more today. Productivity is at an all-time high. And my clients are expecting me to deliver more. So from a number stand, 2x on the revenue front, 1.5x on the team size front from where we were last year, the same period. And I'm not seeing anything slowing down yet. While the festivity season is coming up, we might see a little drop, and also during Christmas. But with Corona around, still people may not want to dwell too much outside of their world, so they will still continue to drive their digital transformation journey. So that's what we hope for.
Thank you. Today on our panel of digital entrepreneurs, Mudit, Dharmendra, and Zara, coming to you. Content has become the glue to create communities. Content has become the glue to create commerce. Content has come to the rescue of brands that want to do messaging. Tell us how have been the last 7 months for you, Zara, and your business, and where do you see the outlook over the next 6 to 9 months?
Okay, so I think the last 7 months, made a lot of businesses realize that if they are not out there, doing things digitally, it is going to be very difficult for them to survive. So as a services business providing digital and content solutions, we have seen an uptick in demand. Traditional business leaders have become digitally savvy. They are now increasingly using digital and social media platforms to amp up their communication, be it highlighting various initiatives, internal, external, whatever they have done during the crisis. They are using digital to go out there and tell it to their stakeholders, their story. I think even with traditional advertising, events, on-ground promotional opportunities, they've dried up. So online, digital and social content has seen an increased spend and interest from clients. And as a content-first digital agency, we have witnessed clients bringing projects which they had pushed onto the back burner. Now they came back and said, let's do it right now. We should have done this as of yesterday, and let's just quickly bring things up to speed. So I think there has also been a significant shift in the tone of communications. Consumers and stakeholders, they want to listen to brands that build trust and transparency and have a larger societal purpose. So organizations have also realized that, and they are partnering with agencies to amp up that communication as well. And I don't see that stopping, I don't see a dip in that effort or in those initiatives going forward. I see that also a lot of businesses are playing catch up right now. So businesses which were slow to adopt are now taking that mantle up. So next 6 to 9 months for sure, I see this trend continuing for sure.
And Zara, what are the top content? Is there a playbook to content marketing? And tell us in terms of if marketers are spending 100 rupees in digital, how much money is going into content?
So I think content comprises a large chunk of it. If it's
5%, 50% or more?
50, 60, 65, 70, I think I see that because content is really the core. If you don't have your key messages out there, the whole effort is not really going to be effective. So I would say content is definitely, the core or a large part of the spending that they're doing, yes.
And is there a playbook to content marketing? Are there rules that we all can follow to be able to make a more deeper impact on the audiences that we want to, whether it's media professionals or as brand owners?
So I would say, being genuine, being authentic with your story. You can't really, create a purpose if your business doesn't really have one or never really had one, if you're looking at communicating that during these times, right? So if you're authentic and you're genuine about what you're saying out there, then it is a great time, and relevance is very important. So 3 things I would say, genuineness, authenticity and relevance. Yeah, that defines the core playbook.
Thank you, Zara. Having set up the India Content Marketing Summit many years back and having set up the Indian Content Marketing Award as part of Exchange for Media, I fully agree with you. I believe that content is all about relevance, authenticity, and I would only add purpose to that. So while that gets factored in authenticity and your relevance, I would say purpose matters. Let me go to Sonesh. Sonesh, tell me how your business has been impacted in the last 7 months and where is it headed? And what has happened to your business in terms of pivots, and what are the nuances that you've changed to be relevant in the current times?
Sure. So, like Dharmen mentioned, that there was an initial 1 month where people did not know what to do when the pandemic hit us, and when the lockdown was announced initially, I think there was a small period of about 7 days when the logistics movement was completely stopped. I mean, in the words of Modi, it was thrown out of the window. But then government was very quick to realize that logistics is the backbone of Indian economy, and you can't really supply essentials across India. You can't really sustain economy without moving the production that's happening. So very, very swiftly, the lockdown measures were relaxed for truckers and logistics folks. And unlike the other speakers on the panel today, our company was actually on ground in the time of pandemic, and we were serving the truck owners. Now, what changed? What kind of pivots did we take? What was very important for us was to ensure that the truck owners that are at the core of our business are working smoothly. And for them to work smoothly, we needed to enable them in multi-fold, in many different ways. Government was coming in with one announcement after another. They were releasing with different kind of notifications. EMI related moratorium schemes were announced, and a whole lot of other set of information notifications were announced. So one primary job that we undertook was to ensure that our customer is well aware and well educated about the changes and notifications and circulars that government is bringing in for their benefit. Apart from that, I guess from there it was a very smooth journey for us. If you look at it, we are a very, very, very fast growing company. I mean, we are at 20x of where we were in the last year.
Clearly the most optimistic and set of entrepreneurs who actually turn the adversity into an opportunity. Mudit has created a company that will possibly outlast COVID. Dharmen's design services have grown. Zara is clearly creating content for our clients that is helping them build their brands in the digital world as well as grow business. And Sunesh, logistics, for all our viewers, logistics is an area, if we can improve our cost of logistics, just to give you a data point, we in India are at, for any large business, the cost of logistics is about 14%
14%,
on average.
absolutely,
Right?
yeah.
Whereas if you look at developed countries like Germany, the cost of logistics
9%.
is, 8%. In some very developed and very advanced countries, it's even as low as 6%. So if you can bring the logistics cost from 14 to, let's say, even 9, that's a 5% improvement to the bottom line. And imagine the impetus it can provide to GDP. So go on, Sunesh. Tell us how were you able to make an impact?
So that will impact our goal. Our company was
20x growth. You talked about 20x growth.
Yeah, so last year, if you compare our numbers compared to the last year October, we are actually doing 20x, at least 20x. If you compare in the last 6 months, we have grown 5x. And if you look at it, we are actually one of the one of the companies who are at the forefront of driving this change. We are at the forefront of driving this change of 14% to 9%. I'll give you an example. Today, our company is helping the Indian economy transact almost 15% of the total commercial FASTag payments that are happening in India. So of the entire country's 15% FASTag commercial toll payments are happening on Wheelside platform, and we are helping banks, we are helping government, we are helping NPCI, we are working with them, we enjoy very good working relationship with all these stakeholders, and we are driving change in the deepest parts of the country. We are currently active in about 1500 plus cities across India, and these banks, government and NPCI, they're actually able to leverage our network to reach to truck owners.
Sunesh, we've been talking about bringing about change, structural change. Are you seeing it happening? I mean, will we look back 3-4 years from now and say, 2020 was a hellhole of a year, but it was a new 1991 for India. Something really changed.
For truck transportation and logistics, 2020 is the year where the biggest fortunes were created. And it would be remembered as the year where the biggest opportunities were created for the trucking industry. I'll give you an example. The GDP of India before pandemic stood at about 2.7 lakh CR. If you look at it, before the NPCI implemented the e-toll system, the FASTag system in the country, about 60,000 crore rupees were lost every year just because the trucks had to wait in long queues on these tolls. But in 2020, more than 40 lakh trucks have enabled themselves with FASTag, and the average waiting times on all these tolls have gone down drastically, which have resulted in lesser fuel wastage due to waiting, which have resulted in punctual deliveries, and which has also resulted in plugging the leakages of money from toll booths. So when we were paying cash on toll booths, a lot of money was also being leaked through the system.
Okay, but are there enough, Sunesh, are there enough puzzle pieces? That's a puzzle piece, right? I mean, that's not the silver bullet, it's a puzzle piece. Are there enough puzzle pieces? Because in the end, we are saying that we are building 38 kilometers of highway per day. Maybe this year that statistic is going to be a bit different. But are the puzzle pieces fitting in that we can call this is a structural pivotal shift or not?
Absolutely. A lot of things are falling together in place. So NPCI's e-toll system is just one thing. If you look at it, the new trucks that are coming in, BS6 trucks that are coming in, they are all enabled. They are all enabled with electronic chips and very sophisticated instruments that help people monitor the vitals of their trucks.
Okay, so that's a big thumbs up from you. Let me put the same question to Mudit. Mudit, the objective in 91 was, and that was, more IMF mandated than anything else, but nonetheless was to unleash wealth creators. You let people run the economy, government can't run it. Are you guys, after this lockdown is ending, feeling unleashed, that there are a lot of the pit blocks in front of you are disappearing, that you can do what you want, change your business dynamics, change your product profile, change your service profile rapidly, innovate without having to worry about this license, this permission, that permission?
Basically, you'll find companies on both sides of the spectrum. Basically, the companies which were able to evolve, who were able to join in this bandwagon of digitalize their businesses, to focus more on, as all of them said, the content, having more digital services, working with the e-com, they were able to, and more importantly, those companies which were able to diversify themselves, their product offerings, not putting all the eggs in the same basket. those companies.
No,
would
but
be
that's from the
able to
company's
evolve.
point of view. I'm saying from running the country point of view, are you guys feeling unleashed as entrepreneurs that, we are in a better environment to work than we were before, even though everything else has been a problem?
For sure. We are in a much better environment than we were before, and we can take any steps that we want to improve the company. It's all on us. There are very few hindrances from the government or from
so
the
that's
policy
another thumbs
side.
up. Zara, same question to you. I was having a conversation with some of India's top data center entrepreneurs. That's the point where digital meets physical, right? Because then you have to still get licenses and power supply and security and safety protocols. So when you guys are operating, are you being able to literally innovate and start a new app and a product sitting, from working from home rapidly without having to worry about lots of red tape?
No, I think these 7 months have made us realize you can do anything from anywhere digitally. Okay, the infrastructure is there in place. I mean, we've not really faced any major shutdowns or anything of that sort. I think the infrastructure has kept up with all the demand, and it has proved that you can really do anything digitally. So there have been no roadblocks as such. I think if you leverage the opportunity of going digital, I think the sky's the limit.
Okay, so what's the thing? We were discussing this, I think, a couple of days ago, right here on this telecast. Then what happens if the platform itself? We've seen TikTok disappear, right? So the platform vanishes. We've seen Paytm. Vijay Shekhar has raised the issue that, look, I'm trying to innovate on my platform, and suddenly Google takes me down because that's not an Indian-based platform. Are there still some things which are a concern that hold on to your ability to rapidly innovate?
No, I think if you ensure that you have or you maintain an edge and you are always ahead of the curve, I don't think those challenges will really pull you down.
Okay, you can. Dharmender ji, same question to you. Are we, and if not yet, how do we in the balance 3 months make 2020 memorable for other things like a 1991 moment other than just lockdown and COVID?
So with the festivities coming around, I think that should account for every mishap that we have seen on the last 6 months. With Diwali and then Christmas coming around, I think people will have a reason to joy a little bit and start afresh in 2021.
Okay, so starting afresh. But have you seen, because you've seen a parliament session that's tried to bring about structural reform. A large part of the stimulus package was about bringing structural reform. Invest India is working now, I'm told, at state level to bring upon structural reform, your single window, ease of doing business, taking it beyond just a statistic into practical application. Anurag ji will tell you, we've spoken to some people have received direct help from the stimulus, but the rest of you are going to have to rely that is a ecosystem or a business environment more suitable for you to function than it was a year ago. Is that changing? Are you seeing it change, Dharmender ji?
Absolutely. So it is more suitable, no doubt. A lot of even the red tapeism is non-existent practically. We are seeing a lot of government initiatives and stimulus and measures in all forms and shapes, short-term as well as long-term. So of course we're not expecting any helicopter money to be thrown at us.
Okay.
So,
okay. So Mudit, before I take yet another break, Mudit,
Yeah.
in an innovation, which is what you are, you're a service innovation.
Yes.
Where you're packaging together various kinds of products as a service.
Mm-hmm.
In working out, how bogged down has it been, to enlist yourself with platforms, get bank accounts sorted, get payment platforms sorted? Has it been difficult or pretty easy to do?
No, none at all. So the first thing was we had our own website running for a very long time, and we had a lot of bank partners and payment gateways which were all already functioning with us. And actually in this COVID time, a lot of alliances and networking has happened a lot. So all the companies are trying to help each other grow and basically pick each other. And so basically we have been able to tie up without any problems at all with a lot of companies, even Amazon and other Make My Trip and other companies. We've been able to tie up with them easily.
Okay, so you're saying if there are young entrepreneurs out of there going through a muddy college situation, sitting at home right now, they can look forward to starting their own companies, head into incubators without worrying for 49 licenses they need to get. Okay, let me now get Anurag Batra into this. Anurag Batra, I mean, would be ideal, right? from government's point of view, from our point of view, from entrepreneurs' point of view, that if the government could do the things to get out of people's way and let them run the economy, it won't cost the government money because you don't have to keep pumping in money because you're bringing structural and reform. We didn't have money in 1991, much worse situation than right now. We think 20% is bad. There you had, I think, you couldn't even afford, I was here in Delhi, no school bus running because you had no forex to pay for petrol. So, how do we use the balance 3 months, Dr. Batra, to get into that zone that 2020 becomes a memorable year?
First of all, Rishabh, let me say that that the government is an enabler and banks create money. I mean, not in just terms of, the central bank printing more money, but when banks lend, they create money, right? In every way. So the most important thing to be done to get everything back, first is to be able to do more testing, more treating, and that's the most important. Testing is very important, as we can see in America that there is a second wave that has come back, and again the cases in America are about a lakh of cases every day. And you heard the experts over the last 2 weeks. There's nothing called herd immunity. You and me have talked about herd immunity. That's as experts saying it doesn't work in the way it is being explained. So first, it's a healthcare issue. We have to solve that. I think that's the area where government has to focus a lot in testing, tracing, treatment, the 3 T's. Second, the banks have to create liquidity. In the last 7 months, the bank have been very conservative. They have been more conservative than they ever were. And their reasons may be right. So the government has to make sure that it becomes a catalyst in banks being more forthcoming in giving loans and innovative schemes and going beyond the mandate of what government has said. And that will happen by 2 things. One is government spending, and second is maybe we're not worrying about credit ratings for a while and the government printing more money.
Okay.
And third is, I'll tell you, the government has moved into a different gear. Earlier, the government did not want to create demand because creating demand meant people going out, doing things that they aren't. I think as things get better, and in Delhi, I think the next 15 days have to be we have to be super cautious because the air quality index was more than 300 2 days back. So the government has to focus on these things as of now. The fourth point you talked about was structural reforms. This government has done structural reforms, and you may not see the benefits of them immediately. You may see it in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. But I want to say on NewsX, in the next 3 years, we'll be in a better space than we were 4 years back. Our economy. So I have a fundamental belief that the focus of the government over the next 18 months will be economy.
Okay. Come on. You're sitting on NewsX. It has to be a little bit of China also. Okay, just joking.
Of course. I mean, we also have a goal to be able to surpass China in the next 10 years. I mean, we may do that goal, we may achieve that goal, we may not. But we have to have bigger goals. And when the Prime Minister says Atmanirbhar, he is raising the consciousness, he's raising the confidence, he's raising the aspiration.
So then that begs
I think the sectoral reforms.
Okay, so let me then take it into the larger picture, because we've discussed company by company. Then I'll hand it back over to you. Dharmendra Ahuja, if you're looking at large scheme picture in data metrics, we are now looking at a 5G sans Huawei. Big relief. Maybe we can develop it indigenously. Most likely we'll need help, whether it comes from Korea or Japan. But in the end, that's a broad infrastructure setup that is currently run on Chinese hardware, 80 to 90% currently telecom in India. We don't have a silicon manufactory in this country, so whatever silicon chip you make has to come from abroad. You can argue where it comes from. We don't operate or run the principal mobile platform. So Android doesn't operate from here, Apple doesn't operate from here. The mobile phones we manufacture are really assembled in India. They're not per se manufactured in India. A lot of the products and the chips and all come. These are fundamental issues. Now, do we need to tackle these as fundamental issues, or are we hoping that entrepreneurship, capital markets will look after this themselves?
So what I feel is a little bit of innovation and entrepreneurship combined can, take over the sentiment that we have, as far as Chinese goods or Chinese products are concerned. Not in the short term, of course. You can't just throw away your phones, can't, switch off your TVs because it's Chinese. But over a period of time, what we will definitely see that, people, if you look at my example, my son wanted to buy a new phone. I realized that, this is a OnePlus phone, which is Chinese. I'm not going to buy it for him. So simple things, if we can drive those changes, that will definitely give a boost to the economy, not in the short term.
Yeah, but I'm saying, how do we find that truly Indian mobile phone manufacturer? Right now, I'm saying go Samsung, and they're not paying me for this. Because that's a Korean manufacturer. Mudit, same question to you. I'll give you an example. Okay, if you want to put a satellite into space, right? ISRO can do it for you. It's totally indigenous. We can make the satellite here, put it up directly ourselves. Ecosystem. That's the ecosystem, right?
Right.
In many of the fields, we don't have the ecosystem. This is a reality check. Do we now need to let you guys, wealth creators, sort this out for us? Build the silicon fabs, build the truly made in India smartphone, or do we need intervention?
So basically, obviously the government, as Mr. Anurag said, it's an enabler. So we both have to work together. They need to create the opportunities, and we need to innovate and provide our services and diversify into these things. So I don't think so one can work without the other. They both need to go hand in hand.
Okay, so do we need to think, Zara, do we need to look at a scalar level which is completely different? Because the American GPS, Qualcomm makes all your, I mean, Qualcomm can hold Huawei hostage if they choose to, right? Because they can simply say that no chips, Huawei phones can't use the Android platform, can't use the apps. That's very real impact that you can have. We don't have that impact. Would you see somebody developing a hardware and a software platform in India that is going to be the next competition to Apple and Android?
The way the consumer sentiment is shifting towards buying products which are made in India. People are now logging on to these, marketplace platforms and looking for products which are made in India. And once that sets the whole motion, people start buying or choosing to buy products which are made in India, I think it will set the whole cycle rolling, right? The demand will increase, and Indian businesses will have to step up to get into that space if they want to, make the most of that trend. But that trend is definitely going there.
Okay, so is it about ecosystem or is it about bravery and cash? Sunesh Jain, if somebody said, I know the Mars is very close to the Earth these days. So you look up and you can see the big, red dot. And I'm thinking of Elon Musk's car on the way to Mars. Do we need crazy people, slightly eccentric people who are going to say, hang on, we're going to take out Android. We're going to build our own mobile phone system. Do we need crazy eccentric people or wait for it, no hurry?
See, definitely we can't wait for it, but that doesn't mean that we need crazy people. I mean, we do need crazy people, but how many crazy people have you heard of who have made very big innovations? I have a very different point of view from the other speakers. So I think this innovation, especially if you talk about the smartphone market or the laptop market or the hardware market, I think this needs to come from the Micromaxes and Lavas of India. They have already proven their mantle in India. They are the ones investors would be very easily willing to, lend them money. If you want to start a fab today in India, or if you want to start manufacturing smartphones in India, definitely.
But Suresh, that's the trap, right? This is the same trap that you go and everything is made in China, right? Just the brand is Indian owned. And then the Chinese companies themselves come and destroy your brand. So if you're making it yourself here, they'll find it more difficult to destroy your brand.
If you really want to build something in India, you really have to start looking. Government can't just sit and wait. So I agree that there are a lot of opportunities, there is a lot of positive sentiment, there's a lot of support. But there are entrepreneurs in India who are sitting there right now in India who have actually proven their mantle already in this space. And like you said rightly, ecosystem is missing. If I looked at it purely from a business point of view, only manufacturing is not going to get me through. The supply chain.
Okay, so help me, Sunesh Jain, help me understand the ecosystem that you are talking about, right? Transportation, logistics. Anurag ji just quoted the statistics.
Absolutely.
What is the ecosystem that is going to that still needs to be fixed? What is the band-aid we need to put where?
See, we really need to fix. We really need to fix the manufacturing. India is the 6th largest manufacturing country in the world. We produce roughly 600 billion of goods every year, but still we are not producing quality. Nobody remembers us when they talk about quality. They remember Germany, they remember America, or they remember Japan, but no, not in quality. So
And
that's
they're also
one.
not competitive on price because we don't have the scale. I mean,
See, I think price can always be worked out on scale, and I think given the success of OnePlus is an iPhone.
No, the example Anurag Batra is giving you is that the Chinese are winning because of scale, right? It's not just cheap labor, it's just scale, cost of unit.
Absolutely, it is
They'll have
scale.
an entire city making one single product. That's not the case here in India. Sunesh.
Not just making a single product, but making it with absolute quality and absolute finish. That is also there,
Okay,
right?
okay. Well, the Chinese have different grades of quality, so we can debate that also. Dharmendra ji wants to make a point.
Absolutely.
Dharmendra ji, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying we've never been a product-oriented economy. We've always
absolutely. But we're a service-oriented economy.
Absolutely, yeah.
That is what has gotten into our heads a little bit, and we want to come out, create more products, create more, innovate more. And like you said, do we need crazy people? Yes, of course we need a few.
Yeah,
crazy
I'm a big fan of crazy people. They do the fun things. I would love to put a car onto Mars, even though it makes absolutely no sense and has no commercial value. Maybe it's good for publicity. That's why he does it. But here's a reality check. Mudit Jaju, Elon Musk, since I made a referral to batteries. Okay, you had battery day. They're doing crazy innovation on battery. Now we do crazy innovation on battery right here. I mean, I know people in IITs are working on battery tech, but where's the battery park? Are we waiting for Elon Musk to come and make it, or can we make it ourselves?
I'm sure we can make it ourselves. We have a lot of research going on. Day after day, I hear about IITs innovating into something on the health side, healthcare, education, and other technologies. We just need to talk more about them. So as a country, we need to talk more about these people and what is happening and innovation is happening. So we need to come together.
No,
and
we need to find the eccentric people, if that's a better word. Because the eccentric people are going to change the world, and we need to love them and back them, and we need to become bigger. They need to be bigger heroes to us than Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan, just like we do with the people sitting out of Silicon, and so many of them are Indians, right? Look at how many people watching the broadcast. You all heard of Satya Nadella, Sundar Pichai. We had never heard of them when they were sitting here. And I'm taking big picture, micro picture, medium range picture, but most likely I'm trying to get people enthusiastic of what we can achieve if we put our minds to it. Guys, so much we need to do. I think my most favorite telecast with Anurag ji over 5 months has been on what was this, a future city in Gujarat that's coming up. Wow, that's a bold idea. Gift city. Now that's something different that's been doing a different way. Okay, Anurag Batra, we have about 10-12 minutes. Take it away.
Thank you, Rishabh. I want to ask all the 4 panelists and entrepreneurs on the show 2 questions. First, what's your top lockdown lesson? What has changed in your mental wiring that will help you succeed in this new abnormal, in this post-COVID era? And second is, when do you see the Indian economy coming back in full bloom? 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months? From your own experiences in your own businesses, you can extrapolate what's happening in the economy. Let me start with Sunesh Jain. Sunesh, what's your one lockdown lesson?
I think lockdown helped us understand that how big an opportunity could be created if there is a mindset shift, and coronavirus created that mindset shift across India. Overnight, people switched to digital. So we actually need to have multiple such mindset shifts. There are many such barriers that I think we face right now. So before coronavirus hit us, I think people, especially in the logistics industry, who are not very educated or who are not very fond of digital technology, they overnight shifted to technology, and that actually propelled logistics into a much larger and a much better future. So I think what we need to do is, the lesson is that keep on identifying such mindset shifts that you can create, and keep on creating those mindset shifts, and that would obviously automatically propel you into the future with a much larger velocity. So I think that's very important. In fact, the demonetization thing also created a mindset shift across the country. So that kind of propelled the digital economy and financial inclusion of a lot of Indians that were otherwise not financially included. Coming back to the question number 2 that you asked, when do you see the economy getting back to normal? So we have been analyzing data from all the 1 million trucks that we run on our platform, and we have seen that states that have lower coronavirus cases have already bounced back. So manufacturing terms maybe, logistics terms maybe, supply chain terms maybe, spending terms maybe. States that have been hit hard by the coronavirus, especially like Maharashtra, if you look at it, they would take some more time. At least, I mean, I'm not sure how long corona cases would it take for corona cases to subside in places like Mumbai or in places like Pune. But as soon as we start to, experience a downward curve, I think the industries will open up, containment zones will go away, SMEs will open up, more production will start, and things will gradually start coming back on track. I've been also following the Sensex market since last couple of months very closely, and it's been behaving very oddly. I think if you combine the
you mean
overall
that there
picture,
is no connect between the Dalal street and the real street, right? That's what you mean. Right?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll give you an example. If you look at TVR, the theaters opened up yesterday, but TVR shares have tanked more than 11% in the last 2 days. And that should have been absolutely reversed, right? But that could also be because no movies are releasing. There are no movies that are releasing. So, but there are other such cases. For example, all the IT companies took a hit in this week. Last week was very bad for the banking sector. So I think if you combine the overall picture, I think a lot of it has to do with the global, what's happening at the global scale, which is the second wave. So a lot of lending is happening from the global countries to India. So, which is why probably the banking sector took it. But that's a very large picture. Coming back to the point, I think it should take at least 1 year to 1.5 years for us to get back on that track of recovery. And then from there, it would take another 1.5 years to 2 years for us to get back to a very swift position of, this thing. I think if coronavirus had not happened, our goal of defeating China in the next 10 years would have been realized much, much, much earlier.
So, Puneet,
but I think
when is the economy back? Give me a direct answer. 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months, or even more. What's your sense as of today?
Why would the economy bounce
When
back?
is the economy back in full bloom? When do you see
I think by the middle of 2022 it should happen in full blown, and that's when that should, I guess, be the place when we should see more and more innovation in the field of hardware, because I think by then 5G things will also be rolled out in the country. So yeah, I think by the middle of 2022 it should happen. By then a lot of logistics, so there are a lot of policies like NLP, National Logistics Policy, NEP, National Education Policy, all these things will also, in fact the Farm Bill, I believe that they are a very progressive step. So all these things would, settle down, they would start showing their effects. So I think we should take easily 12 to 18 months. So mid of 2022 is my take.
Okay, Sunesh. Zahara, as an entrepreneur, what's that one trait or one thought that you added to your mental makeup that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and contribute more to society? And second, when do you see the economy back in full bloom?
So I think we learned that the rules will change, customer behaviors and priorities will change. And in that, you can do anything from anywhere digitally. That's lesson one. Things like office commute, rent, physical overheads are redundant now. Rather invest that money in people growth and upskilling, a big lesson for us. And focus on employee health and motivation to drive productivity. So I think those are the few lockdown lessons. And I think in terms of the economy returning back to normalcy or lifting up from there, I think I see consumers still being cautious considering the uncertain environment as the pandemic is stretching on, right? We are not seeing a dip in the positive cases at all, even after 7 months into the pandemic. So the challenge really for the government in the coming months is to drive consumption so that demand picks up, and it is going to be a gradual process. I don't see it happening in the next year at all. So maybe a year down the line, it will start, we'll really see some things coming back to normal. 2020 is definitely a washout under COVID-19. I don't see the next 3 months changing anything. 2021, by the end of it, I'm sure things will hopefully be different.
Okay. Ramendra Ahuja, what's your one top lockdown lesson? And when do you see the economy back in full bloom?
So one top lockdown lesson is that thank God we did not rely on borrowed money, and we've been a zero debt company since inception, and so that kind of helped us survive this pandemic, and also not just survive, in fact thrive through this. I think diversification should definitely be on the cards for any company, and they need to find some alternate and complementary revenue services. whatever product or service line that you're in, or whatever industry you're in, you need to have a backup product or service line that you can rely on in times of distress. So that is the biggest lesson that we had. And of course, not putting eggs in all your eggs in one basket in another, finding opportunities that you can, which are low hanging fruits, something that you can rely on. So some of these business lessons. I am a slightly die-hard optimist. I want to see the economy opening up in full bloom in the starting of 2021, but that is way too optimism. So I think I would look at it at least 12 months for it to bloom, a minimum of 12 months for it to bloom.
Okay. Final word, Mudit Jadoo. One, what are your top lockdown lessons? And second, when do you see the economy back in full bloom? I know the growth in digital economy is in some ways supplementing the growth of the overall economy. But tell us, if I had to use the word, hybrid economy, when do you think the hybrid economy will be back in full bloom?
So for sure, there have been a lot of lessons, but something which I've recently realized in the last couple of months, actually, during the lockdown, is more of a philosophical thing. So I've realized that sometimes it's not just your job as a company, it becomes your responsibility for a company like CherishX. There's a lot of gloominess, a lot of sadness, and a lot of negativity in people right now. So bringing that celebrations, that happiness back into the economy, it sometimes becomes a responsibility that you need to go with. So right now, how we are banding together as a person and even as a company is, I'm trying to pitch this to my company, to my employees, that we need to bring a lot of happiness back into the mainstream. We need to make people happy. We need to make them feel that there are people who care for you, who love for you, who want to do something special for you. And we really need something which is much more contagious than the virus, which is a smile. We need to really spread it out there, and that's what the CherishX is all about. In terms of how we are going to, when the economy is going to come back up, I think so it's going to take anywhere between 18 months, I think, for the hybrid economy to work. The digital is growing fast, but for people to step out and bring that old traditional economy back, that is going to take around 18 months for things to be back to normal.
CherishX is a good platform. I would encourage, as always Rishabh says, but Mudit, Rishabh's birthday is 25th July. You can next year arrange for
sure.
Guys, if you make it to next year in a better shape than we are now, party's definitely on me.
For sure.
Back to you, Rishabh, now.
Okay, guys, we're out of time. My thanks to all of you for watching, for hanging around with us during the ad breaks. Please get some Asian Paints painting done in your house, because they're helping supporting our programming. That's important. We have salaries to pay as well. And as always, check out CherishX. If you have an event coming up, they can do a DIY model. They can do an virtual model for you. Check out Right Knowledge Labs for their content generation. Check out Wheels Eye, especially if you're running a logistics company and want to sort out your fast tags. They can help you sort it out. And of course, Pitchworks and Dharmendra Ahuja. Please read Business World online and keep watching NewsX. We're all in this together. Let's keep pepping ourselves up.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.